Hello everyone, welcome to another video game movie review with me, Th0m4s575, and as per usual, I'm joined by none other than...
Richard.
Yep, so it's just me and Richard again. Unfortunately, we could not get a third person to join us.
But maybe in the future we will.
Hopefully.
On to the
Well,
first.
yeah, before we get onto the review, a couple of things that you should make a note about. So, one, there will be spoilers ahead for the movie. Well, so not that it matters at this point, but if you haven't seen the movie yet and don't want to be spoiled, or if you just don't want to hear about us going in depth about the movie at all, then go ahead and click away from the video now. So, well, I'll give you a chance to do that. All right, spoiler warning's over. And then second note that you guys should take note, of course, is that we have water with us, because when we do these reviews, you may have noticed that our voices start to gradually start sounding weird, and that's because of us talking for long periods of time, and it does,
and we get thirsty, so
it strains our throats. So we have bottles of water. Well, Richard's drinking out of a cup, I'm drinking out of a bottle. So if you hear the sounds of sipping or gulping, whatever like that, that's us drinking water. So keep that in mind.
And with that
said, let's get on to the review. All right, first off, in the opening act...
Oh, one thing. This is a review of...
Right, this is... Right, I almost forgot to say this. This is a review of a Minecraft movie. Well, you may have known from the title, but in case we have to say it. Okay, for real this time. In the opening act, we see... we hear narration, and of course, because like with Borderlands, the opening is... Or with a lot of video game movies, really. It opens with narration. This time from Steve, who is played by none other than the infamous Jack Black. And yeah, we have a lot to say about him throughout this movie. And of course, we have a lot to say about this entire movie overall, because it's really bad. So yeah, prepare yourselves for a lot of criticism and possibly screaming. Okay, so yeah, the opening act shows us with a young Steve who always wanted to journey on to the mines and, find his purpose in life. But he was stopped.
Because he wasn't old enough, they wouldn't let him go into the mines, and they would chase him off. And I have to admit, this is the one part where the character that is played, that he's the kid who's playing it, that's actually the only good part of the whole time when Steve... The young Steve is played correctly.
Well, I mean,
let's give the kid credit. He was the only good part of the Steve character.
Yeah, well, technically, Steve in this movie is played by two different people, but...
So we give credit to the young Steve. No offense to him. You may continue.
But big offense to...
the other one. So we'll continue on
Jack.
The other one.
Okay, yeah, we'll continue on with... Okay, so yeah, Steve is chased off, or is chased away from the mine, and grew up to be a doorknob salesman who has lost all motivation in life and is basically suffering.
And is actually sitting there playing with his food, and he makes a mine while he's playing with his plate of food.
Yes, so yeah, he remembers the mines. So he goes on back, and this time he is successful in entering the mine, and begins to mine, because, he missed out on all those years. And yeah, he keeps mining until he finds two artifacts: the Orb of Dominance and the Earth Crystal, which he calls it this thingy and this dumb thing.
And here's the thing. If anybody were to mine that much and be doing that much mining, they would be dripping in sweat. Not to mention the fact that, well, everybody knows what Jack Black looks like, but the Steve character is like way over. Like, wait, excuse me, but if anybody, any human being, was swinging an axe that much as they showed him, they would be dripping in their own sweat, and he doesn't have a single drop of sweat on him, which is completely, totally unrealistic. That's my gripe about that particular scene.
Well, to be fair, we don't know how long Steve has been mining for.
Yeah.
For all we know, he could have just been there for 5 minutes until he found the orb and the crystal.
Yeah, but still, come on, you'd break a sweat doing that much hard work. I don't care who you are.
For 5 minutes?
Yeah, that's a lot of hard work swinging an axe. It's heavy. Weighs like, I don't know, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, and you're swinging it. So, yeah, come on. Unrealistic that he's not sweating at all. Come on, really? And he's not even out of breath either. I don't believe it. After sitting at a desk job for all those years as a doorknob salesman. So.
Okay, so when he puts the Orb of Dominance and the Earth Crystal together, this trope has been used in a lot of video game movies, or maybe just movies in general. I can't remember if... I mean, I know the Super Mario Brothers movie has done this trope, but he goes through a portal into another world, which we all know is the overworld. Well, if you play the game anyway, then you know what it is, but... So yeah, the overworld, a place where anything you can imagine, you can make. So Steve lives out his life there, and along the way...
You can tell he's been there.
And along the way, meets a stray wolf, who he tames with a bone and names Dennis. Now, why Dennis of all names? Like,
no offense to any Dennises, by the way. We have nothing against the name Dennis. But why would you name a wolf Dennis?
Yeah, because I mean, it's never explained why he chose why he specifically chose the name Dennis. Like, was that the name of his father? Was that the name of one of his siblings? Was
his
it
grandfather, his uncle? I mean, some
was
relatives?
Was it someone who you know who died, and so he named the wolf Dennis to carry on his legacy? Or was that the name of the old miner we saw at the beginning of the movie, and he just decided to name him the wolf Dennis just to mock him?
I don't know, but you know, this is my thing. You can tell he's aged because his beard has gray in it.
Yes, so
and additionally, he goes crazy with creating all this different stuff in his imagination in the overworld. Am I saying it correct?
Yes.
In the overworld, he goes crazy and he creates all kinds of stuff. He clearly has way too much time on his hands because he's just creating stuff left and right and left and right. I mean, it's like, really? I mean, he just goes wild. It's like, it's, you know, creation of Minecraft stuff on overdrive. I mean, it just goes crazy.
Right. So yeah, years pass and he discovers some ancient ruins and what looks to be another gateway. So he repairs the gateway and also uses and this impression is bad on purpose.
Can I do it?
You know what? Yeah, sure.
Flint and steel.
Yeah, flint and steel.
Flint and steel. Really? He couldn't just say flint and steel like a normal person? He had to make it flint and steel.
Yeah, that line has been memed to death on the internet.
And rightly so, because I'm sorry, he could have said it normal. He didn't need to make it so. Ugh. So
yeah,
anyway,
everything Jack does is cringe.
Anyway, yeah, that was way cringe. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, he repairs the portal or the gateway, and yeah, a lot of players who are watching this will probably know what Steve has gone through. He's gone through another portal and enters yet another dimension called the Nether.
And here life is miserable.
Yeah, there's no positive emotions, there's no creativity. All that place is just a barren wasteland that is inhabited by creatures called piglins who have a lust for gold.
And they have a mean, tyrannical, nasty leader named, what is it?
Malgosha.
And she is just making them work. And if she catches any creativity, she punishes them immediately. She's just mean and nasty and just scary.
More on Malgosha later. But, yeah, anyways, Malgosha takes the Orb of Dominance from Steve, which Steve didn't know it was important to, for something else besides, activating the gateway to Earth.
Exactly. It's like,
So,
really, dude.
so yeah, Malgosha takes the Orb of Dominance, and Steve can't let the overworld get stripped down. So he steals the orb and orders Dennis to take it back to his house on Earth and hide it, which Dennis successfully does. He takes it back to Earth, back to his house, and then hides it under his bed. And so, yeah. But then later on, Steve realizes that hiding the orb under his bed was a terrible idea.
Of course he realizes it afterwards, because he couldn't think of a better place to hide it. Really, he could have had it thrown in the ocean. He could have thrown it in a river. He could have buried it in the desert. No, he has to have it under his bed in his house. Really?
Well, to be fair, dumping something in a body of water would be considered littering.
Yeah, but nobody would have found it. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is he picked the worst place possible to hide it.
Seriously. Anyways, now we cut to what the movie wants us to think is the real protagonist of the movie. Garrett Garrison, alias the Garbage Man.
And let me tell you, the actor that is playing this has done some other roles that were well done. But this one, excuse me, he was Mr. Goofy. I don't have another way of putting it. He is so out there. His character is so outrageous. It's just so over the top, overdone. It's like, no, dude, stick to your other genres. This one, you're clearly just like cringe. You're cringe to the. I don't even have a word for it.
It's like he's an exact copy of Jack.
Exactly, and except even more. Well, he and Jack are competing for who's the most cringe.
Yeah, and here's the thing: the more you watch the movie, the more you think, "Oh, are Garrett and Steve siblings in this movie?"
Because the way they act, it's like they came from the same place. They have the wild hair. They have the beards. They're both overweight. Their actions are both cringe. Their thought processes are cringe.
Yeah, they have the same level of IQ.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
Hell, they even later on in the movie, they even form a human sandwich.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute because we have something to say for that. So yeah, in the I think it was either the 80s or the 90s. Garrett competed
in a video game competition where he won and he became the champion of the world, and that was his highlight of his life. After that, it was all
and his use of a certain technique in a game, the garbage toss. That's what earned him his alias, the Garbage Man.
And that was where his life peaked.
Yeah, he was in the.
Which, by the way,
no
offense to anyone who's a gaming champion, we are not offending them. But this guy, that's as far as he gets, and he doesn't do anything else with his life after.
Yeah, so his life was peak in the late 80s. Yeah, I just remembered it's the 80s. And then it down spiraled as his life went on. So he's the owner of this vintage gaming store, and he's gonna because no one is coming to his store, he's gonna get evicted and his store is gonna shut down. So
because he has no money.
yeah, he's broke. He's got no damn money. So his first course of action is to go to an auction house, in hopes of finding something to help out with the store. So so then when he hears the possibility of a gaming console called the Atari Cosmos, he's thinking that could get him the money he needs, since that console is extremely rare.
At least according to the movie. I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah, so he wins the auction and promises to pay the money he owes at a later date. But right now, his main focus is on the console. But when he opens the box in where he thinks the console is in, he finds out that there was no Atari Cosmos.
It was just the box.
Yep, and inside the box was the orb and the crystal. So now he's in even more debt. It's like everything he tries to do, he just immediately screws it up. Every single action he does turns to shit.
Anyways, continue.
Yeah, so he decides to drive back to his store, and then his car breaks down in the middle of the road.
Which is just even more of a... Just like if things weren't bad enough, they get even worse.
Yep. Every single thing he does in this movie turns to shit, like I said. And here is where we meet the real protagonist of this movie, Henry, and his sister Natalie. Now, so I just want to say, so before we actually get to so I just want to say all of the main quote unquote main female characters in this movie, they're just extremely boring, if I'm being honest. Like all of them are just, it's like they didn't even know what to do with them.
But let's not pick on them. Let's get to the
We'll go in more depth in that in a sec, but for now let's keep on going. So they're moving to the town of Chuglis, where their mom wanted them to stay at, and along the way they see Garrett whipping his car because it won't work.
Yeah, it looks like he broke a radiator hose. But anyways, they drive on by. They get to the house they rented. Because their mom wanted to live to live there, and I guess she was from there, and their mom had passed away. So
now they gotta live there. And here is where we meet the last of the main characters, Dawn, who is a real estate agent who also runs a mobile petting zoo, and she's got a llama in the back seat of her car. Really, I didn't know a llama would fit in the back seat of anybody's car. They're a little taller than that and a little bigger than that. Hello. Yeah,
kind of unrealistic.
Yeah, and then they never bother to dive into this part of her ever again. Like, this is the only time we actually see what she does, and then they never bring it up again.
Actually, they do, but I don't want to spoiler alert, so continue.
Well, I mean, we're already spoiling the movie, so...
At the end, remember, they show her with the petting zoo again, and with...
Yeah, but throughout the rest of the movie, they don't really explore this aspect of her. In fact, they don't explore anything about... They barely explore anything about Natalie, either. I mean... All we know is what we learned later on is that she has to look after Henry, and that Henry's the only family she has left. But other than that, we don't really find out anything about what she does.
Other than she has to work at the local.
She has to work at a
potato chip factory.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's in Chuglis. Chuglis is potato chip factory. Anyway, so on with the story.
Yeah, so it's like the main characters are supposed to be Henry, Garrett, and Steve, all of which are male, by the way. It's like the movie doesn't even care about the female characters, which is a bit sexist if you think about it.
But anyways, let's continue on.
Right. So yeah, the next morning arrives. Henry is about to go to his first day at school here in this new town. But along the way, he decides to stop by Garrett's store. So Garrett decides to give him some advice on how to, go on about his life. And I guess I don't know what his advice was, but he shouldn't stand out too much, I guess.
I don't know. The thing is that the basically he said he was being, now his next thing was he was going to be quote a life coach. Well, the screw up cannot be a life coach when he's already screwed his own life. He's screwed somebody else's up. So
Yes.
and he takes, and Garrett's sister had given him a plate of food to take.
You mean Henry's sister?
Henry's sister gave him a plate of food to take to school to try to break the ice for the new school, and of course he ends up giving it to Garrett, who sits and eats it. And
yeah, well, to be fair, you don't really want to stand out much when you're going to school.
Yeah, and nobody takes a plate of food on the first day of school to everybody. But anyways.
Yeah, I mean, who actually does that nowadays?
Well, okay, we're getting sidetracked.
Right. Okay, so. Oh, yeah, and then before Henry leaves, Garrett decides to give him a flyer so that if he ever needs to need some help, he knows where to go.
Right. So he goes to school.
Yeah, so Henry goes to school, and here is where we meet probably the most boring character in this movie. In fact, probably the most forced character, if I'm being honest. Vice Principal Marlene.
I thought she was Principal Marlene.
No, Vice Principal.
Anyway, we look at it. Honestly, the movie could have done without her. She was obnoxious. It was just totally out of place and just really unnecessary.
If you remove her from the movie, literally nothing changes.
It literally doesn't affect the storyline.
In fact, because she's so boring, she has to info dump on what her whole deal is. So her whole deal in this movie is that she's divorced and doesn't know, and is currently trying to figure out what she has to do in life and all that, and she's running a school. Honestly, I don't really remember that much of her because she's so boring. I can't even remember half of the stuff she does.
So Henry goes to class.
Yeah, Henry goes to class, and
then the teacher info dumps again. We have another character that info dumps.
Mr. Gunchy,
he info dumps. Let's not even get into the details because he's a real minor character. But he info dumps. They're drawing pictures.
Class. The class's assignment is that they have to draw a still life, which means they just have to draw what they see on screen. But Henry gets away with his creativity and gets mocked for drawing a banana that has a jetpack on. So the other kids, and here is probably the worst part of this movie, and probably the most ass part of the movie in terms of Henry's character arc. So Henry decides to make a jetpack, like an actual jetpack, because everyone in the class tells him that it wouldn't work. Well, he does that, but then two kids sabotage the jetpack, which they dared him to make, by the way. They cut a part of the...
They cut one of the wires so that he didn't have full control of it. So when he launched it, it took off and crashed into the potato
chip factory
and knocked down the potato chip factory mascot statue and made it go crashing to the ground. Needless to say, he ends up going to the principal's office, ends up getting suspended for school for the day, but he doesn't want to call his sister, who's his guardian, so he ends up calling Garrett, who comes and pretends to be his guardian, gives his uncle comes and gives the principal a compliment that
Vince,
someone
vice principal.
gives the vice principal a compliment that whoever divorced her was a fool, drives off, and they go back to his shop.
Actually, I think it was the other way around, where I think Garrett was actually insulting her, because he says whoever divorced you is an idiot, which I'm thinking he was trying to say whoever married you was a fool, but then when he decided to divorce her, that's when that was when the good part happened.
It could be it could have been a roundabout insult, but anyways, so we see them and they go back to the shop.
Yeah, it's like they didn't even know what to do with Henry's redemption, because the kids almost got him expelled for, destroying part of a factory by something he made, but then
And they probably would have been successful if those dummies hadn't cut the wire.
this is actually similar to the Super Mario Brothers movie, where the Mario Brothers successfully finish their first job, but then the damn dog comes in and ruins everything.
So once again, they do something right, and then somebody else screws it up and makes them look bad. So
Is this a running trope throughout media, where someone successfully does something right, but then someone else comes along and screws it up?
I don't know, but let's continue on to what we were talking about.
Right. So yeah, and then Garrett pretending to be Henry's uncle works for some reason. Like Marlene actually,
these people are so dumb they actually believe it.
they didn't even bother making a background check on Garrett to see if he actually has any siblings who had heirs.
The whole, like I said, just the whole thing of getting away with itself was just cringe. So you could have anybody show up and claim they're your relative and get you out of school, out of trouble. Nah, doesn't work like that. It does not work like that in real life. They have to be on the list of approved people that can come and get you from school. We're going off topic.
Oh yeah, and Garrett only agrees to come help Henry out when Henry offers him $20.
He says, "I got $20." He says, "I'll be there in 5 minutes," and he shows up. So they're back at Garrett's shop.
Yeah, so Garrett is so desperate for money, he's willing to commit crimes.
Okay, but they're back at Garrett's shop.
Yeah, they're back at Garrett's shop. Garrett takes the flyer back because, he's trying to save his money.
He saved paper, and because it costs money.
Yeah. And this is when Henry notices the orb and the crystal. And Garrett reads a note saying that under no circumstances should you combine the orb and crystal. But they don't listen, and they put the two together, and they go into the abandoned mine where Steve found the two artifacts.
And a portal appears.
Yep. And then Natalie and Dawn, and then also at the same time, Natalie and Dawn also go looking for Henry because he went missing and all that.
And they managed to find, by tracking Henry's cell phone, they managed to find where their location.
Yeah. So then now we have the Misfits. The
four of them.
Yep. The four known as the Misfits.
And here's the thing that doesn't make any sense. They put the orb together. It leads Henry and Garrett to the portal, and the other two show up. However, when Steve put the pieces together, he just walked through the portal. But when Henry put it together and got close enough to the portal, he and everybody else got sucked in through the portal.
Another similarity between the Super Mario Brothers movie and a Minecraft movie. The protagonist gets sucked into another world that's not of their will.
Exactly, and like I said, but what made no sense is that when Garrett did it, he just walked right through. They got sucked through. So what's the difference between one versus the other? Why didn't they just have the option of walking through, not getting forcibly sucked through? Anyways, I have a gripe on that, obviously, because that's not consistent. If you put it together the first time and you walk through, You should put it together the second time and walk through, not be sucked in. So that is wrong.
Yep. So this gets the inconsistency stamp.
Exactly. So now they get, quote, sucked into
the overworld.
And the first thing they meet is
a pink sheep.
Going, meh, meh.
Right.
And Garrett is such an idiot that he thinks it's an intelligent alien and he tries to communicate with it. He thinks it's an intelligent being. He is such an idiot. Even Dawn realizes that it's just a sheep and that it's not an intelligent, but not Garrett. Garrett insists that he can communicate with it.
Yep.
Because he is such.
He's such a dumbass.
There you go. That's a good word for it. He's such a dumbass character. And this is my gripe. I have such a dumbass character. Why couldn't he have a little more intelligence?
Same thing with Steve, too. Why is Steve so dumb?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious it's because of Jack.
Okay, but we need to continue.
Right. So, at the same time, a villager also sees the open portal and goes through it himself. And, and walks out of the mine shaft. And so Dennis goes, and so when Dennis realizes that the portal's open again, he goes and runs back through.
Right, and so he goes back to the overworld.
Yeah. So
the
Garrett,
villager goes onto
Earth.
Goes onto Earth. Starts wandering around aimlessly.
Right.
And what happens to the villager? He goes walking down the highway at night and he gets hit by...
Well, we're not at that part yet.
Okay, fine. I wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a minute. We have a lot to say about that. Anyway, so here's kind of a running gag throughout a Minecraft movie regarding Garrett, is that Garrett believes he's bilingual. Well, here's the thing. Garrett isn't bilingual because he keeps screwing up the things he's saying. Like for instance, when he tries to say greetings, he instead to the pink sheep, he instead says,
I don't remember what he said, but I do remember this. He, as an example, he says "Vaya con Dios," and he says that meant goodbye, brother, and it says no. It means go with God. It does not mean goodbye, brother.
And he
does this. He does this consistently with Spanish, trying to speak Spanish, and yet he uses the wrong terms every time he uses Spanish. I don't know whether the character is so dumb he's doing it on purpose, or whether I think it's just a running gag to use the wrong Spanish lines on purpose to make him look like even his character to look even more stupid than he already is to begin with. But that's one example. There were others. I don't remember them. It was just so obnoxious.
And here's the thing. I only know that Garrett said go with God at the end of the movie because in Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Robotnik says the exact same thing, but adding stinking hedgehog at the end.
However, in the case of Robotnik, he used it correctly. In the case of Steve, he did not. Garrett. In the case of Garrett, he used it incorrectly. So it was just like a running gag that he kept using incorrect Spanish phrases for his to say things instead of just saying them in English.
Yeah,
so
I can imagine Spanish viewers getting offended by that.
Yes, I can too, because I can speak some Spanish, and thought it was offensive to actually be making fun of the Spanish phrases.
Oh yeah,
correctly.
Oh yeah. To any Spanish viewers, Richard is not fluent in Spanish. He only knows like around 60% of the language. So,
but that's enough for me to know that he was using the wrong ones in the phrases he used.
Yeah. So take note, people. Richard's not fluent in Spanish. He only knows.
Well, I'm not. I'm fluent in general conversational Spanish, not technical Spanish. But what I heard was insulting. Go ahead.
Right, so nighttime arrives, and this is where the Misfits see the real threat of the overworld. All these mobs, they chase them down, so Henry has to build a tower to keep the mobs out. But along the way, Garrett breaks the Earth Crystal, which deactivates the portal, so now they can't get back home. And also, a creeper blows up a hole in the tower. So now they're gonna they're gonna die by the hands of zombies, right? Oh yeah, and then here's another thing I forgot to mention earlier on. So earlier on in the movie, Malgosha realizes the orb is back in the overworld. So Steve is in the dungeon of in the is in a dungeon in the Nether, and Malgosha orders Steve to bring the orb to her, or else she'll kill Dennis. So then, when the misfits are about to die by the zombies, Steve rushes in to save them because he needs the orb. And oh my gosh, the way Steve just fights the zombies is just, uh, you know, why don't you do this one?
I'll put it to you this way. He was over there doing it, I call it ninja style. He like doing a mix of martial arts and blocks and kicks like he was in a martial arts fight. And it's like, really? I'm sorry, but uh, um, Jack Black is way too overweight to be doing martial arts. I expect some young, fit dude to be making those moves, and it was so unrealistic. Overweight, fat guy, old overweight fat guy, to be doing all those martial arts moves, killing the zombies left and right like they were nothing, like he was some kind of martial arts master. It was very so to all people that know martial arts and practice it, you should be insulted by his imitation of martial arts. It was bad.
Yeah,
And for all of you who do practice it, no offense to you, I'm happy you know what you're doing, and I'm glad. I'm sure you're very good at what you do. However, in the case of him, he was mocking you guys by doing it. He was literally mocking everyone that does martial arts by the way he was doing it in the movie, and that was insulting to all of that audience.
right. Well, oh yeah, here's another running gag throughout this movie. It's that Steve says sneak attack.
Yes, and oh, that's another thing. Every time he tries to dance, he doesn't dance. He throws a martial arts kick, and he put a fist pump. Really, dude? Go get some dancing lessons. Go learn to dance. If you're going to do dancing in a movie, then go take some dancing lessons and dance for real, not just jump around doing that and trying to make it look like it's dancing when it's martial arts.
Oh yeah,
Nuts.
and this yeah, I can testify to that. Jack doesn't know how to dance, and this is coming from someone who actually does not know how to dance and is willing to admit he doesn't know how to dance.
And I can dance just a little bit, and even I find it insulting. And I'm not that good a dancer, but I can dance a little bit. Dude, get some dancing lessons if you're going to continue doing this stuff. Anyways, we
Right.
continue.
So after the sun rises and burns the zombies, Steve demands to know where Dennis is. But of course, none of the misfits know what he's talking about.
Because they haven't seen Dennis.
Well, they've never heard of Dennis.
Exactly. They're lost and confused. Like, where are we? And all this other stuff. And of course, ultimately, Steve explains to them that they're trapped and can't go back because Garrett broke the
Earth crystal.
so which means the
And the only way to replace and the only way they can ever replace the Earth crystal is to get another one at the Woodland Mansion, which is a murder house, by the way.
filled with all the worst things you could think of to kill you that are in the overworld,
Yep.
such as what are those tall, skinny things that if you look at,
Enderman.
you have Endermen in there. You have a bunch of murder and axe murderers in there. You have the
Uh,
what's that chicken on the?
Chicken Jockey.
You have the chicken jockey. I mean, the place is just full of you're going to die if you go in there.
Yeah, Vindicators, Evokers, all that.
Yeah, all the bad stuff. So they decide that they're going to go to the village that Steve has the village, and then all this stuff that Steve has created that's in the village or around the village is there. And this is probably one of the few things I do like. They actually show the ones that guard this village.
Iron Golem.
They actually did a good job on the Iron Golem. I will give them credit for that. I like the Iron Golem design. That was well done. Why couldn't you do that with other things? But anyways, the point see an Iron Golem. This is when we get to see the villagers, and This is where Steve has his craft shop and his store of stuff that he has created.
Well,
So
wait, you forgot one thing.
what?
So this is gonna be okay. So this is where we hear one of the few songs, or the few times we hear Steve sing. So Garrett needs some food, so Steve takes them to a shop where they sell chicken.
No, not just any chicken. Lava chicken.
Yeah.
And excuse me, if you dip anything in hot lava, do you know what happens to it? It gets incinerated, burned to a crisp. It turns into ash. You cannot take a whole chicken, stick it in lava, and cook it with lava. You will get nothing because it will turn into ash. It's 5,000 degrees. Hello. And yet they use it as a method to cook chicken, and it comes out perfect, which is bullshit.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. I know that there is a way you can cook chicken in Minecraft using lava, but I've tried that in the actual game. Like, I've actually tried doing that. It does not work.
Okay, so as I said,
and then of course it's one of the few times where Steve sings about how good the chicken is and all that.
oh, and lava chicken. Ugh. I'm sorry, dude. Look, I know that you think because you were in a movie 20 years ago, where you were playing an instrument and you were singing, that you're some kind of great singer. But honestly, if you were such a great singer, my question to you is this: where's your hit album? And why is it that when you were on tour, it was just you and one other guy? How come you weren't part of a band or had a band?
Oh,
Where was your band and where's your hit album?
Whoa! Stop! We're not allowed to mention people's personal lives.
And that's not his personal life. He has shows where people go and pay tickets to go and watch him. That's not personal.
Oh, well, in that case, that's fine.
Yeah.
Sorry,
anyways,
people.
if people go and pay to watch him, and this other guy, well, he does singing and plays. Dude, where's your hit album? Come on, really? Write it out. Write yourself a song and get a hit album. Then I'll say maybe you have potential. But anyways, he goes and he sings about lava chicken, which we won't get into the singing of it all. But
yeah, because neither of us know how to sing.
Exactly. But after that,
we won't even try to sing because that's how bad he is.
But the thing is this: after that, he goes and warns Garrett. It's hot and they'll let it cool. And what does Garrett do? He bites into it anyways, and he burns his mouth.
Yeah, trying to impress Steve, which we're supposed to believe is his biological brother.
I don't know whether it's his biological brother, because he keeps referring to him to brother over and over again, or whether he just calls everybody, instead of remembering their name, he uses brother for anything. I don't know.
Actually, he only calls Steve his brother at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
so.
But at that point, he's not calling him that. But the thing is, they go to the shop. They start. They
go. Oh yeah, here's the thing. Before we get into that. So yeah, they need to. So before we get into all that, I forgot what happens next in the movie.
What happens next is they go to the shop.
Yeah.
And in the shop, they have a crafting table. And this is where they discover that Henry actually has a talent for creating things by putting down different things. He's actually creating, and he creates a potato.
He creates something called the tot launcher.
The tot launcher. He creates a tot launcher. They start creating, and this is when Steve tells Henry he has a talent to be able to create. So they start doing this. And of course, at this point, we flash back to Malgosha. And Malgosha now sends her piglins to the overworld.
Yeah, led by, oh my gosh, probably the most cringe name in this movie.
Go ahead, just do it.
General Chungus.
And here's the thing about him. The dude sounds like he's a surfer dude. Hey man, how's it going? That's how he talks. I'm gonna kill you, dude. It's like, really, you had to give him that voice character?
Oh yeah, and
that's cringe.
Here's the ironic thing. Apparently, General Chungus is voiced by the director himself.
Yeah, but he voices it like he's a surfer dude.
Yeah, you heard me right. The director of this movie voices that character.
And he does it like he's a surfer dude. I mean, come on, he couldn't use a regular voice. He's supposed to be, well, dude, I'm going to have to kill you. It's like, really? He just sounds so out there. It's just, it's the wrong...
General Chungus makes the Koopa General from the Super Mario Brothers movie look bad.
Yeah, you mean look good?
Yeah.
He makes him look good. I mean, like I said, this one, the voice, of all the voices to pick for the General Chungus, yeah, no. You should have used a straight voice, or you should have used some other voice, but that voice was just so out of place.
Yeah. Chungus makes the Koopa General look good.
And the thing is, it's out of place. I mean, it's just like mocking the character. It's like, then why create the character? You're going to just mock it. Anyway, so they said, General Chungus and a bunch of
piglins drink a bunch of nether warts so they don't decompose in the overworld. And then here is where we go back to the villager, if I'm remembering the sequence of events right.
Oh, is this when he gets...
Yeah, I think so. Again, people, I'm sorry for getting the order of events wrong. It's just...
It's just that the movie, they jump all over the place.
Yeah.
That's part of the other thing. It's kind of like the timeline consistency is hard to get. You go from one story to the other story, and then back to the other story, and then back to they keep jumping back and forth. And this
here's the thing. Here's some advice for some future filmmakers out there. So it's fine if you want to have a B plot for the movie, right? So every movie can have an A plot and a B plot, but you cannot have a C plot. Otherwise, it would just jumble up the story too much.
And in this case, that's what they've done.
Yeah, the C plot is the villager.
The villager wandering around, and he gets hit by the vice principal.
Yep, the villager gets hit by Marlene's Jeep Grand Cherokee, I think it was called.
I believe that's what it was. I believe it was a Jeep. And of course, she ends up apologizing to him, and then she invites him to dinner, and then he agrees, and then...
Yeah.
And it's like, all of a sudden, they're sitting there having a romantic dinner together. It's like, what does that have to do with the story that's going off in the overworld?
Well, what does this have to do with Minecraft at all, besides a villager being on Earth?
Exactly. It made like really didn't need to belong in the movie. They should have stuck to the overworld.
Yeah, we didn't need
the netherworld. They didn't need that.
We could have just jumped back between the overworld and the nether, but instead we have this C plot where they focus on Marlene and this random villager. We do not need this in the movie.
It really was an unnecessary footage. But anyways, so they're off on their romantic dinner, and then blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah, and here's another similarity between the Super Mario Brothers movie and this movie. Both movies involve an interspecies situation, where in the Super Mario Brothers movie, Bowser is simping for Toadstool. And, Bowser is a turtle and Toadstool is a humanoid. And then in this movie, Marlene's a human and the villager is,
villager.
Well, just a villager. But they're entirely two different species as well. And this is the thing with video game movies nowadays. What's with the interspecies thing? I don't get it. What do people find? What do people see in this?
Here's the thing. Minecraft doesn't have. Okay, I know your take on romance, and I do
not believe in the concept of romance. If you've seen my video on that, you'd know why. But...
Okay, hear me out. However, some video games have a concept of romance built into them. However, the Minecraft game itself does not have romance in the game, period. So by adding this plot and putting romance, they're adding something completely unnecessary for this particular movie because there is no romance in the game, so it shouldn't be in the movie.
Well, technically, villagers and wolves can breed, and other animals and stuff. If you want to count
Well,
that.
yeah, that's right. They showed the pandas having more pandas.
Yeah, but I mean, but we don't really need, this in the movie.
You really don't need this interspecies subplot in the movie. It's very distracting. It makes it hard to follow the movie or what's going on, and it's unnecessary. It's unnecessarily added to the movie. So
seriously, what the hell were these people thinking when they wrote this movie?
So, anyways, we've spoken enough about that. So let's get back to the village and the attack of the piglins.
Right. We need to get back on track. So, the piglins attack the Midport village, which is the name of the village. And, in the end, the team ends up splitting up between the males and the females. And, Natalie doesn't want Henry to go off with Steve and Garrett because Henry is her only family that she has left, all that.
And she feels responsible for him, etc., etc. However, they do end up getting split up. So Garrett, Steve, and Henry end up taking off to try to go to the, what do they call it?
The Woodland Mansion.
Woodland Mansion.
Yeah, they get stuck on a cliff. So Steve equips Henry and Garrett with elytra wingsuits, so they start gliding, but Steve realizes that he only brought 2 and not 3, so his idea is to ride Garrett like a damn horse.
That's a good description. He rides him like he gets on his back like he's riding in a saddle on a horse.
In the sky.
In the sky. Now, I have 2 gripes with that. Number 1, it was cringe.
It's sus.
It's sus. Number 2, ultralight wing, is that what it's called?
Elytra wingsuits.
Okay. Should only be able to support 1 person, not 2. They were not designed for 2 people. Therefore, as soon as he jumped on his back, they should have crashed into the ground immediately. They should have just gone, bang into the ground. It's not designed to support the weight of 2. It's designed to support the weight of 1. And I'm sorry, but those are the 2 biggest, I don't want to say the word, overweight individuals in the movie. They're the heaviest ones, and they're the ones that are going to be supported by 1 wing. No, they should have gone crashing to the ground. They should not have been able to fly. That's just plain wrong on physics.
Yeah,
no.
Yeah, so throughout this, Henry and Garrett and Steve get separated during their flight. Henry fights a piglin that's on him and uses a firework rocket to make him go faster so they can shake off the piglin. And then Garrett and Steve, we mentioned this earlier, but anyways, the piglins have them cornered, and their only solution is to go through a hole in the mountain. But because they're too fat, they need to form a human sandwich and then squeeze themselves through.
Which was extremely
sus.
Cringe.
And sus.
And it's like, really? That was so unnecessary. So
I can imagine.
Physically unpleasant to watch. It was so disturbing. It's like, really? You had to do that. That was just... No. That whole thing should have been cut out of the movie and redone where he had his own wing and not having to ride Garrett like a horse and then do that sus move. So I don't agree with that whole thing. I wish I could erase it from my brain and not remember it, but unfortunately I do. So somehow these two individuals managed to squeeze through this hole. They come out the other side, and
they come out the other side, and Henry crashes into them because he's going too fast, and because they're about to crash onto the ground and die, Steve uses a bucket of water to cushion their fall, and they're all right.
Okay, that part I can handle. I can handle using the bucket of water, and at least, and then the cringe scene is over. Ugh. So then they continue on, and
then of course, the next scene we already discussed this. Marlene and the villager, but skipping that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're not explaining that again. Next scene is that they're going toward the mountains. Or, well, actually, no. What happens next, I think, is that is that Malgosia is preparing her creation, which she calls the Great Hog.
Ugh,
But
disturbing, very disturbing thing.
well, yeah, but it turns out the thing was already finished beforehand. All the piglins needed to do was put the brain in.
Yeah, she says she had to put the brain in. It was just this giant killing piglin machine. There's no other word. That's the best.
Oh yeah,
description.
and General Chungus is dead. Thank goodness.
Yeah, Chungus has died. He's died a horrible death. So, anyways, we almost forgot. Meanwhile, the two female,
Natalie and Dawn,
Natalie and Dawn, are wandering around, and who do they run into?
a wild wolf,
And they tame it with a bone.
and find out that his name is Dennis. Who they find out that's who Steve was talking about. Now, I have a few problems with this. So earlier on in the movie, it sounds like it sounds like the Misfits think that Dennis is an actual person, but you know, but then when Natalie and Dawn find out that Dennis is actually a wolf, they don't get mad that they were trying to help a wolf this whole time.
Exactly. But again, and then here's the other thing. So at this point, they get attacked by a bunch of what are they called? Skeleton guys.
The skeletons.
They get attacked by the skeletons, the spiders, and then all of a sudden, Natalie and Dawn.
Well, they don't really fight them. They just hit them without doing any effort.
Yeah, but it's just like all of a sudden they become badass fighters, both of them. It's like all of a sudden they're just kicking butt. So it's just kind of interesting. There, where did that come from? There's another one. It's like, really? Where did this come from?
There's so much inconsistency with this movie.
Exactly. So all of a sudden they become two badass fighters. So and out of nowhere. Now here and so then we jump back to
our main trio, the male leads. So they're in the mountains now because earlier on we neglected earlier, but Garrett stole the orb from Henry, who was given the orb earlier on, but Garrett stole it back because he bribed Steve to take them to the mountain because that's where they could find a bunch of diamonds, which he needs because, of course, as we all know, he's broke and he needs the diamonds for the money.
Right.
But here's the thing. How does he know that the diamonds are worth the same as the diamonds in the real world? Like, how does he know that the diamonds in the overworld are actually worthless? Aren't worthless on Earth?
Well, there's an assumption made in there that gold and diamonds are worth the same in the real world, and gems are worth the same in the real world as in the overworld.
Yeah.
So there's an assumption being made. Well, they've already made a bunch of assumptions in this movie. Am I surprised they made another one? No. But that's probably what he thinks. So he goes and he tells him, look, you want this? I need the diamonds. I'm broke. I need money.
Well, so he doesn't exactly tell him that. He doesn't exactly tell him that he's broke. He just says that you want the orb, then get me to the diamonds.
So he takes him to his diamond mine.
Yeah, so they go to the mine and
he tells him, I have some booby traps here, but I can't remember them. And lo and behold, guess who sets it off? Garrett. And
he gets a cactus on his ass.
But here's the thing.
There's so much. Oh yeah.
But wait. I know you don't know this, but I know this. So there is a movie from a long time ago called Raiders of the Lost Ark, and in the movie there is a scene where every stone they step on sends out a deadly poisoned arrow in their direction, and they have to, as fast as they run, all these deadly arrows are coming out of the sides of the walls, trying to kill the character who's running for his dear life. And lo and behold, what is Garrett doing? He's running down the hall, stepping on stones, setting off cactuses that are trying to kill him, running for his dear life. Excuse me, you stole that scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Well, actually, I was gonna say that this movie spooked Sonic the Hedgehog 2 a bit, because in that movie, Knuckles and Robotnik are running through a temple to try and find Master Emerald, and they set up a bunch of traps along the way. So I was gonna say that this was a similarity Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and this movie.
Yes, but I'm also telling you that I know that in Raiders in the Lost Ark there's a scene like that, and they stole that scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Also, after that, they go and they find the diamonds, and Garrett is over there loading his pockets with the diamonds, and he hands Steve
well, actually, he doesn't hand him the orb yet. That's later on. But Henry gets pissed because they took a major detour just to find some diamonds that they don't need.
Right, and
then the Great Hog comes in and attacks them. So they rush to the mine. They rush to the mine carts that are in front of them, and they ride and they see an exit, but a switch turns them. The rails take them to the wrong direction because they weren't set the right way, and they end up in Steve's creeper farm. Now, I just want to say, Garrett stole the exact words out of my mouth. What kind of idiot would breed those things?
Exactly. That's my first gripe.
Yeah, so you know what? Yeah, for once, Garrett actually read my mind there. So I will give him that.
So in the end, they end up escaping by riding on the minecraft.
They mine cart, but they needed to push it, and then eventually they reach the redstone rails and they escape. Now, the Great Hog is blown up in the process because they whack the creepers, making them explode.
Right. Now, I do have another gripe to make. So, they're riding on a mine cart in a mine shaft on rails. That is another Raiders of the Lost Ark stolen thing, because there is Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Temple of Doom. They have seen where the protagonists are trying to escape the bad guys on mine carts on rails, and they are trying to escape. And when they don't hit the right switch, they go the wrong way and they end up flying through the air, and then they land on the other side just by luck. So my point is, they also stole that from another Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Raiders movie. Like I said, it was Raiders, Indiana Jones movie, Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Temple of Doom. They stole that scene from that movie. So that's twice they stole from the Indiana Jones series.
Yeah, but you said that in the what'd you call it? The Temple of Doom?
Yes.
You said that they go flying at some point in a minecart, but in this movie that doesn't happen. They just go the wrong direction and they almost get blown up.
Yes, but in this movie they have the similarity of in both movies they're trying to escape the bad guys on a minecart and going on rails on a minecart. So that's similar in both movies.
Well, difference is one of them doesn't go flying.
Yeah, but okay. But anyways, let's get back to the story.
Right. So they reach a safe point, and Henry picks up where he left off on why Garrett decided to take a major detour on getting some diamonds they don't need, because what if he's concerned.
The longer they're in the the overworld, the more in danger there are.
And because Henry's worried about the others. What could have happened to them if they took too long. So Garrett decides to confess the truth and say that he needed the diamonds because he's broke, and he has nothing left. He's a loser.
And he has no friends.
And then he lists off some things that none of them are true, by the way. He lists that he's smart, he's funny, and he's bilingual. And which none of those things are true.
In other words, he doesn't want to face the reality of who he is and what he is, but that's part of his problem.
Yeah, but he confesses who he actually is in front of Steve and Henry, but he doesn't give up his act on how he acts.
Yeah, so they came up with a plan.
Yeah, so they reach the Woodland Mansion. Oh yeah, and scene after that, more Marlene and Villager stuff, but we're skipping that as well.
Thank you.
Right. So the trio come up with the plan to invade the Woodland Mansion, and because the first floor is going to be filled with Vindicators, who are axe wielders. Second floor is filled with Evokers, who can kill you with magic. I guess I can't remember what they do because I've never been to a Woodland Mansion in Minecraft, believe it or not. But oh yeah, and then the third floor is the storage area where it's filled to the brim with Endermans, who, if you look them in the eye, they'll attack you in an instant. Which is consistent to the game, by the way. If you look an Enderman in the eyes, you will get attacked. But here's what the movie doesn't tell you: if you have a carved pumpkin on your head, and you look an Enderman in the eyes with the carved pumpkin on your head, it will not attack you.
Having said all that, they go about their silly plan of singing "Happy Birthday" to the axe murderers as a distraction.
The Vindicators.
The Vindicators, so that Henry can get to go up and sneak by and go upstairs. And so he makes
so this is the third time that Steve sings in the movie. First time is when he says "Welcome to Steve's World," and there's a sequence where he in the amusement park. Second time is when he's singing about the lava chicken, and then the third time is we've listed off is here when he sings about frying ship and the birthdays. Oh my gosh.
Anyways, Henry sneaks by, and he gets to the second floor. And lo and behold, he sneaks through, and he manages not to get caught by the...
Well, actually, he gets... he does get spotted, but he manages to get to the storage room. And then here is where most... And then here is when the... Here's when the... next up is the scene that absolutely the public. So the Vindicators... they all want Garrett to fight a random opponent, but when he sees his opponent is a chicken, he doesn't see it as much of a problem. But then the Vindicators bring out the second half of his opponent, a little zombie, and it turns into, and so with them combined, they're now the chicken jockey. And then when Steve says chicken jockey, so this isn't regarding to the movie, but it's more regarding to the public. When Steve's in the theaters, when Steve said chicken jockey, people in the theaters started throwing shit everywhere. Popcorn. They set off fireworks. There were someone even brought a live chicken into the theater. And I think one of them even started firing shots at some point.
Anyways, the point is, really, people, why are you overreacting to the word chicken jockey?
Well, words, it's plural, but...
Okay, but the point is the phrase chicken jockeys, really? Come on, people, get a life. Anyways, we...
Well, luckily, when we saw this in theater, we didn't have to deal with that because we went to an early showing, so...
Anyways, let's continue.
Right, we're here to talk about the movie, not what happened in real life because of the movie, but... Okay, so Garrett starts fighting the chicken jockey. He's getting his ass kicked and all that. And meanwhile, Henry manages to find the Earth Crystal, but is found by the Enderman, but doesn't heed Steve's words and looks the Enderman in the eye, and starts hallucinating, seeing visions of Garrett, Steve, and Natalie, saying on how he'll never succeed in life and that his ideas are stupid, and all that.
In the end,
in the end, he snaps out of it and attacks the Enderman with a diamond axe and gets an Ender Pearl. Oh yeah, by the way, this is important. Earlier in the movie, Garrett finds an Ender Pearl that Steve had, and he throws it and teleports because that's what the Ender Pearl does. And Steve says it's the only one he had, and that he almost died fighting an Enderman for it.
So it's interesting that this is important that he's got another Ender Pearl.
Yeah, so this is
wherever you throw the Ender Pearl at, that is where it'll transport you to.
Yeah, so
This is important to the story.
this is crucial right here on Henry getting an ender pearl. So remember that, all right? Okay, so Henry starts cutting his way down to where Garrett and Steve are. And so Garrett's still getting his ass kicked by the chicken jockey, and so Steve decides to. So then Steve manages to free himself and say the third time he said sneak attack and attacks the chicken jockey. And that wasn't a sneak attack. That was an ambush right there.
But here's my gripe. He charges at him and he flies through the air head first with his arms to his side like he can fly, and he goes and he basically headbutts the chicken jockey and knocks him out. Now, excuse me, but if you were to do that in real life, you'd break your neck or you'd break your head or both. So that was a very unrealistic attack using his head of all things.
Yeah, and third time Steve has said sneak attack.
That's very cringe too. So we continue. They managed to escape with their lives.
Henry reunites with Garrett and Steve. They all exit the Woodland Mansion with the Earth Crystal in hand, and then Malgosha comes out because everyone's failed her so far. Oh yeah, we neglected to mention Malgosha's backstory. So her whole deal is she wanted to be like a dancer in the Nether because she was the only one in the Nether that wanted to actually be creative besides everyone else, but everyone mocked her for it. So then she declared that no creativity should ever be in the Nether again, and then all she wants now is just gold.
Right. So, anyways.
Right.
So Malgosha?
Yeah, Malgosha.
Malgosha is there with all her.
Yeah, and
they have him surrounded.
Yeah, and they also have a new great hog as well, which is never explained why. Did she always have a spare great hog or something? I don't know. Did they manage to?
Who knows?
Right. So she takes the orb of dominance from them, and then the piglins decide to kill the rest. So Henry and Steve managed to get away using by riding one of the ghasts, which is not something you can do in the game. And then so Henry jumps up onto a platform with piglins. Steve uses a slime cube to bounce himself up there. And then Garrett decides to sacrifice himself because of all of the things he's done. And dies in an explosion. So, and then because of this, Henry and Steve end up crash landing and dying themselves. Not really. Henry and Steve actually survived and are woken up
by
Dennis, who as it turns out, Natalie and Dawn managed to find them both because Dennis tracked them down with Steve's rancid stench.
Yes.
So that's the reason why Steve smells, is because he knew it would come in handy one day.
Yeah, because then Dennis could track him anywhere with his stench.
Yeah, but a stench like that, it'd probably destroy your nose hairs.
Okay, well, let's continue.
Right. So, we're near the end game now. So Malgosha puts the orb of dominance near a bigger nether, and puts the orb of dominance on another portal and activates it, which is an even bigger nether portal, allowing all the piglins to come and ravage everywhere and ravage the place and filling the overworld with nether warts. So everyone
and darkness, so the sunlight doesn't burn him up and kill him. It blocks out the sunlight. Remember? Right. So portal blocks out the sun, nether warts flowing everywhere, and so the team decides that they need to fight back in honor of Garrett and in order to save the overworld. So they go back to Steve's. So they go back to Steve's place, and they need they make a bunch of materials to help him fight, because
So what they do is they craft a diamond sword. They grab a bunch of they get a bunch of iron blocks, or they make a bunch of iron blocks and also get a bunch of carved pumpkins in order to make a bunch of iron golems, and all that. So
And they do equip one iron golem with super speed feet. I don't know
yeah,
how else to put it.
one of the items earlier on in the movie. This is a movie exclusive item in the game. It's not a part of the game. The boots of swiftness, which is given to which is used in place for a carved pumpkin for one of the iron golems, which somehow ends up working. And I don't know how Henry knew that would work.
Well, it's part of the call it movie exclusive.
Yeah, so yeah, now that they have an army of iron golems, they all start marching, as well as they all start marching toward the Piglin army. But then Malgosia drops an info bomb on them, saying that iron golems won't attack unless they're provoked. But one of the piglins screws up everything and shoots one of the iron golems. So now every single one of the iron golems is now provoked and prepared to attack the piglin army.
And here goes the war.
Yep, the war begins. Everyone is killing each other. Oh yeah, and then at some point, Dawn brings brings an army of wolves into play as well, which is something you can do in the game, by the way. You can make an army of iron golems and an army of wolves to fight at your side.
Yes, I've seen you do it, so yes, it's true.
Yeah, so yeah, Richard here can testify.
I've seen him in the game have a whole bunch of wolves and a whole bunch of iron golems for an army, so yes, it does work.
Oh yeah, you can also craft snow golems, but those only work if you're in a snowy biome. So
yeah, if you go to a place hot, they melt.
Yeah, they only work if there's shade or if it's a cold place.
But anyways,
right, getting off track here. So Henry shoots the ender pearl he had earlier using the tot launcher. But isn't the tot launcher used to shoot potatoes? Why is it suddenly able to shoot out ender pearls?
Anyways, he puts the ender pearl in it. He shoots it. He goes up. He's going up to where the cube's at. I don't know what you call the cube.
The orb.
He goes up to the orb and he's about to get it. And what happens?
A ghast fires and nearly kills him. Or, well, actually, no. I should take that back. It's the great hog that fires at Henry and makes him fall off. But then Garrett is back somehow alive, and he easily explains it, saying that he used the water bucket trick that Steve used earlier.
Right. So he's still alive. He comes back and saves Henry, gets Henry up to the orb. Garrett makes the gas shoot out balls of fire, which deactivates the portal and brings the sun back out. Oh yeah, and during the fight and all this, Steve has a 1-to-1 match with Malgosia with the full set of diamond armor on. So the merch wasn't lying. Diamond armor Steve is a thing in the movie. But he breaks the diamond armor.
Yeah, Malgosia breaks the diamond armor in the process. Oh yeah, and then throughout that, Steve also says sneak attack for the 4th time. I'm tired of him just using... I'm tired of this movie's running gags. It's like, why?
Okay, but anyways, so they end up getting it back. They shut down the portal. The piglins are rotting in the sun.
And turn into what I'm guessing are supposed to be the zombie pigmen.
Exactly. And then...
Yeah, so... And before Steve leaves Malgosia to die, Malgosia tries to kill Steve, but it doesn't work. It's just like...
And the running gag was, come closer, and she takes a stab at him, and the knife falls, and he says, oh, really? Come closer again. I have something to tell you. And she does this like 3 times in a row. It's like, really? It was too much. So finally he walks away after, leaving Malgosia. But 3 times they did
Yeah, they try to overturn serious points with comedy. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Why?
And so here we are the enemy has been defeated.
The Misfits are going to go back to the overworld because Henry decides that he wants to go back and face the consequences of reality, and Garrett decides to go back and try and fix his life, and so oh yeah, and then here's oh my gosh the fourth time Steve sings. He sings a goodbye song to Dennis because now he wants Dennis to help out Don like how he helped him out.
So here he goes. He cringe sings again, and let's not even try to sing that cringe song.
Well, neither of us can sing, so.
Well, I could maybe, but not even that. I can't even imitate that nasty song, so let's not.
Well, I
do
mean,
it.
I could probably impersonate Jack's characters, but I can't impersonate the singing.
Anyways,
sorry.
he thinks he's Anyways, the point is he sings to the wolf, and then he decides.
Yeah. So anyways, everyone goes back to the overworld, and Steve stands there, thinks for a bit, and decides, you know what? Screw it. I'm going along as well, and decides to go into the overworld himself, or decides to go onto Earth as well. And it's like, what was the whole point of that scene right there? What was the point of that buildup right there? The whole point was that Steve was gonna stay in the overworld while the Misfits went back to Earth. And like, I know Steve is supposed to be from Earth in this movie, but that doesn't mean that he's not allowed to stay in the overworld. Yeah, I mean, he's been living in the overworld for years now, so.
But the point is that why make it build up like he's gonna stay, and then he suddenly changes his mind and goes back to Earth?
Yeah. So now we reach the ending of the movie, and Steve sings for the 5th time
with Garrett this time.
Well, he sang with Garrett earlier on with the birthday rap.
Yeah, but again, this time they're over there singing like the rock and roll stars. And they make a happy ending out of it by
everyone's life has turned around afterward. Henry got his jetpack to work. Natalie's teaching self-defense courses. Dawn finally opened up that zoo she wanted
with the star Dennis.
Yep. Garrett got his shot back running again, and now Steve actually has a purpose in life. Helping out people and all that. So yeah, that's
Oh, and make a hit video game. Remember?
Right. They make a game. They make a hit video game,
which puts Garrett back in the
that's what I mean. So yeah, that's the end of the movie, or is it? Nope, it's not. That we're not done yet because there's still some more. We got more Villager and Marlene stuff, and oh my gosh.
Can I make it quick and to the point? So all of a sudden, the Villager, who couldn't speak a word of English, suddenly can speak English, or not? Well, he can speak, and he and Marlene profess their love for each other, and they decide that they're going to get married and live happy after. So there's your.
Oh yeah, and then also apparently the person that divorced Marlene was actually Mr. Gunchie.
The arts
teacher.
The
teacher at the beginning of the movie.
Teacher. Yes. So in the end, she gets her happy ending too with the Villager.
And I just say pointless.
Okay, pointless. So this is where the movie ends.
Oh, not yet though. We still got one more scene left. This is it, I swear. We got so Steve makes it back to his old house where he meets where he tells someone that that's now living there that he used to live in this house. And it's about the chest that's in the attic. And it turns out that the person who Steve is speaking to is Alex, the female protagonist of Minecraft. And
of course, they never show her face.
Yeah, which, wouldn't be the first time Warner Brothers Pictures has done this for a video game movie. They did this with Mortal Kombat as well, where they refrained from showing Johnny Cage's face until the second movie. Yeah, so same thing could be happening here, but yeah, that's a Minecraft movie. So my overall thoughts, this movie is a waste of time. There's so much wrong with this movie. I should have been the one to write the movie, if I'm being honest. We never see the Ender Dragon. We never see the Wither or either. There's a lot of stuff we've never seen. and it's just, there's a lot of pointless stuff. What could have worked better for an A plot and a B plot is if Henry and Garrett went to the overworld themselves, and all of a sudden the portal closes, leaving Natalie and Dawn stuck on Earth. And so Natalie decides to investigate what happened at the school because she believes because she would have believed that Henry couldn't have been responsible for the whole factory mishap. Because that should have been what the movie focused on instead. Like, and it feels like this character focuses on way too many characters. It's just So you know what? Because this movie is such a mess, I'm giving this movie a 0 out of 10. Do not watch this movie if you haven't watched it. It is seriously bad. So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are this. But the only thing they got right in the movie was the overworld. And that's because the graphics of the characters in the overworld were cube-like, just like the game.
Yeah, that is something.
So they got that right, but they didn't get the villain right. The villain should have been the dragon.
Ender Dragon should have been the villain instead of some piglin mage.
Exactly, that's number one. And this whole routine about, like I told you, one guy walks through it and the other ones get sucked through. No, that doesn't work for me either. I don't agree with the whole idea of having, in the game you have one character. They should have stuck to one character, or two at the most, but not all these multiple characters on a quest, which is what they did. And quit stealing from other movies, scenes from other movies, and modifying them for your movie. Be a little more original. So with all that said, I give it a 1. And that's only because of the graphics and the overworld. By the way, the underworld, they screwed that up too.
You mean the Nether?
The Nether, they screwed that up.
Yeah, the Nether doesn't follow the points of the game at all.
It doesn't even look like it. It doesn't even look like what's in the game.
Well, it kind of does, but at the same time, it kind of doesn't.
It looked more. It didn't look right. Like I said, the only thing they got right was the overworld. So with that in mind, I give it a 1, only for the graphics of the overworld.
Yeah, and because once again, Jack has ruined another video game movie.
This time,
for sure, he ruined this one.
The whole thing got ruined. There was too many 3 subplots.
Three plots.
4 protagonists.
Well, actually,
if you want to count the wolf, that's 5.
Well, actually, it is 5 because you got the Misfits and then you got Steve. Okay. Well, 6 if you want to count Dennis.
Count Dennis, you get 6 protagonists and 1 antagonist. Really, 6 to 1. That's what it takes to kill the bad guy. Oh, well, 3 to 1 if you count the general, whatever his name, and the monster pig.
General Chungus and the Great Hog.
Yeah, it'd be 3 to 1. But anyways, regardless, the whole thing was just all over the place. Too many storylines. They should have stuck to 2 storylines at the most, not 3. Made it too confusing. Overall, like I said,
because like we said before, we don't remember the sequence of events in this movie well because it's all over the place. So I apologize if we get anything wrong here, but it's just Anyways, if you're all wondering what took so long for this my review for this movie to come out after the movie released, well, that's exactly how long it took because I just couldn't process it very well.
Yeah, it was all over the place, and it just.
Well, anyway, we're going on too long here, so thank you all for listening to our review. What are your guys' thoughts of the movie? Comment down below. If you like this, go ahead and if you liked our review, go ahead or if you like my review of the movie, go ahead and, well, I guess you could say our because it's,
it's our review. If you liked our review,
go ahead and like it. Share this video with other people that you know if you want to. And then, of course, subscribe if you're new and want to see future video game movie reviews like this. Or future reviews in general.
So,
anyways, thanks everyone for watching. I'm Th0m4s575's.
And I'm Richard.
Yeah, and the next video game movie we are going to review is Until Dawn. So yeah, stick around for that, and hopefully we'll have a third person for that one. Any final?
Nope. Just remember to spread the word about the channel.
Yep. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you all with our review of Until Dawn.